I have not, no.
Okay, hybrids. We'll talk hybrid and kind of crossover combined. Crossover is like an entirely new category for us. So, you know, we were here kind of curious, what do we call it, right? We knew what problem we're trying to solve. We'll talk about the performance. But the crossover club for us, the name is kind of inspired by the auto industry, right? You got like sedans and minivans and SUVs. They kind of create a whole new category called crossover. Very similar to what we're doing with this club. I'd like to kind of start with the hybrid though. You know, both of these clubs really bridge the gap between irons and fairway woods. And so I think it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for the industry on, okay, this new crossover club, what does it do? Where does it fit in? The hybrid is, again, we've made some great improvements to it. It's still going to kind of perform within the same arena of our normal kind of G30, G25 wood style hybrid. So it's our more wood style hybrid design, traditional kind of wood style shape. You know, obviously not as deep front to back. CG's more forward than a fairway wood. Why does this work compared to a long iron? It generates higher ball speed and more spin, and both those things generate higher peak trajectory or max height, so you get that steeper landing angle. This year with the new G Hybrid, we've added turbulators and an amazing kind of groove pattern. We also have the rougher face for the spin reduction component. This really frames the ball really nicely. So one of the things, if folks struggle with a hybrid design, they miss it left once in a while, they may be impacting a little bit on the toe. So we've done a lot better job to either consciously or subconsciously at address and dynamically tell the golfer where the middle of the face is. So these sit very square to the ground. We've kind of borrowed the face profile shape from our Answer Hybrid, which folks really liked, especially our tour players. We've reduced some of the spin from the G30 Hybrid through the rougher face, center of gravity placement. We have a high strength, same as the fairway wood, Carpenter 455 face that gives us really good ball speed and weight savings. And it's a great family of clubs that we offer in all the way from a 2-iron replacement up to a 6-iron replacement. So very broad array to really bridge that gap, and it comes down to what problem you're trying to solve, what conditions you play in, whether or not you need your club to kind of land a little bit steeper. Now the crossover club, this is a really good club to talk about. It's kind of a brand new category for us we talk about. So some folks just don't get along good with hybrids for whatever reason. Maybe they miss it left, they just can't get it in their mind to swing it more, like mentally, do you swing it more like a fairway wood or like an iron? They're kind of lost in between. They also, with hybrids, because you're generating more spin, which is why they go higher, sometimes, you know, this may be a better player struggles with the distance control of a hybrid, or if it's breezy, you know, you hit your shot, it's a little too susceptible to the wind. The crossover club is amazing because it gives the ball speed closer to a hybrid. It helps with max height and distance, but it gives the spin rate closer to a long iron. So ball speed of a hybrid, spin of a long iron. And so what that does, it allows the golfer to hit it far and high. This is definitely not a driving iron. It's not built to go low as a default, but it allows you to send it out there with low spin so the wind doesn't affect your trajectory. It has a flat face, Carpenter 455. It has a face that kind of dynamically flexes and relaxes the top of the face so you get very high launch angles. So there's a lot of speed built into this. I think if I can give any warning to the golf community on this club, is that it goes far. It goes high and far and very straight. So I think being careful with kind of how you gap it, where you fit it into your set. We've designed it to be a 4-iron replacement, but obviously it kind of depends on which model of irons you're coming from and which one you want to go through. It works really good with graphite shafts. Very strong players maybe should look at steel, but even a lot of our tour players are sticking with their normal traditional graphite shafts. So from a shaft standpoint, I would think of this closer to a hybrid than an iron as the starting point. We make it at 3, 4, and 5. This amazing iron replacement. For some folks, it's going to be really good to replace hybrids or long irons, and some folks might do good, let's say, with a 2 or 3 hybrid, then go to a 4 or 5 crossover, then start your set. So definitely spend some time hitting these, figure out how far they go, figure out kind of what's going to be the best mix. But this is an amazing club. We've had great feedback on tour, and again, if anything, we've seen it going a little too far for some players. which is a good problem to have. But we have plenty of offerings, and we do have a notch in the standard color code would be blue, and we can bend it 5 color codes, or 4.5 degrees upright, or 4.25 degrees upright or flat, and then also a little bit of loft and lie adjustability as well.
So you were saying, they solve two kind of different problems, but you could have a set where you have the hybrid, then the crossover, then your irons.
Yeah.
The way they sort of play for, like, I guess someone who obviously has the same swing, would they usually have the same shaft in both, or is it something where they'd end up with different shafts in each club to sort of get them to blend more?
Yeah, no, I think as a starting point, you could definitely go with the same shaft for both. So let's say you kind of fit into a 3 hybrid, and then a 4 or even a 5 crossover. As a starting point, as a general rule, I think you can do really good with the same shaft in both of them. Again, I think that was one of the things we researched on the front end, and even our tour department's finding. Players can treat the crossover from a shaft standpoint closer to a hybrid. When it comes to workability, up and down, spin, it acts more kind of precision and accuracy. It acts more like an iron. So it kind of depends on which characteristic you're talking about, whether it's kind of more hybridish or more ironish. But from a shaft standpoint, I think it's okay to think of it and practically fit it closer to a hybrid.
Are they comparable, like loft to loft, or is one going to be a little different than the other?
Yeah, so the crossovers are a little stronger in loft, but they're shorter in shaft length. Yeah, so loft for loft, our 3 is at 18 degrees, our 4 is at 21 crossover, where the 4 hybrids at 22. So they have about 1 degree less loft, and again, we kind of did that to fit the gapping and the trajectory we wanted to get. But the shaft lengths on the crossover are a little bit shorter. So the lengths of a crossover, again, are kind of in between kind of the iron standard lengths and the hybrid standard lengths. And certainly did a lot of research there, just again, balance trajectory, height of trajectory, ground impact, shaft droop, all those factors that we're trying to optimize for.
Yeah, so if you got like a 3 hybrid and then the 4, you wouldn't really have to do a whole lot of tweaking to get a good gap between the two. And even if you did, you could still even adjust the hosel too on the hybrid to get it even closer if you wanted.
Yeah, we have a little bit of flexibility there. I mean, I think there's just such a wide array in this kind of space in the bag of launch conditions, right? So some players spin their hybrids too much. If you spin your hybrids a lot, I would go this direction. If you're not hitting your long irons high enough and you need more stopping power, and you play conditions where you don't have to worry about the wind all that much, and you might be using the club out of the rough a little bit more, I would go with the hybrid. The hybrid's going to be a little bit better out of the rough because the face isn't quite as deep, doesn't have as much kind of surface area. So there's definitely some good questions, I think, as a golfer. We don't want to confuse folks, but just be prepared to kind of think through what are the conditions I play in, what miss do I have, what gapping kind of requirements do I think I have in my bag, and then how often am I going to hit out of the rough or off the tee, and kind of be into wherever you go to get fit and see your golf professional, your fitting expertise, or kind of self-research it. Go in kind of armed with those questions to survey your own game.